Welcome to De Bello Gallico, chapters 7.1 to 7.2, pre-reading. Hey, we haven't looked at subjunctive verbs in a while. Let's take a peek. Okay, nuntiaret here. This is an imperfect subjunctive verb. We know that because it looks like an infinitive with a personal ending on it. Nuntiavisit is pluperfect subjunctive. We've got the perfect stem here, plus isse, plus that personal ending here. Okay, these guys are both active. How would we go about making it passive? Well, let's look at the imperfect subjunctive verb first, nuntiaret. How would we make the imperfect passive subjunctive? I betcha we could just swap out that active ending for a passive ending, nuntiaretur. Oh, that was a piece of cake. But what about this pluperfect passive subjunctive? Well, if you remember, pluperfect passive is a two-part verb. That means you're going to have the fourth principal part, the participle, plus some form of the imperfect of sum. So, if you wanted to make this verb passive, it would be nuntiatum. There's the participle, I'm assuming it's neuter. And then the imperfect of sum. And since we're in the subjunctive, you need the imperfect subjunctive of sum, which of course is that infinitive plus a personal ending. So this is how you would say it had been announced in the passive subjunctive in Latin. This is the imperfect. It was being announced in the imperfect passive subjunctive. Hey, while we're on the subject of nuntiatum esset, which was on the last slide, notice nuntio means to announce. This is it had been announced, which should introduce an indirect statement because, as you remember, indirect statements are always introduced by kissing verbs, verbs of knowing, sensing, or saying. So something that was announced was probably something that was said. So you're expecting that nifty accusative plus infinitive construction. Okay, so you have accusative plus infinitive construction on your brain because Caesar seems to use indirect statements every other sentence. But I don't want you to forget about the first type of infinitive you learned, which was a complementary infinitive. For example, in the sentence, volo dormire, I want to sleep, dormire is a complementary infinitive because it completes the idea introduced by volo. What do I want to do? I want to sleep. Caesar uses this verb quite often, maturat, which means to hurry, and it can go with an infinitive. So you can hurry to sleep, like you run home to sleep, or if you're Caesar, perhaps you can hurry to do this other infinitive, profikiski. You can hurry to depart. So I just want you to know that maturat is a verb that often takes an infinitive to complete its idea, a complementary infinitive. Ooh, it's so much fun talking about infinitives. Let's do that some more. Look, we have all these active infinitives, dicere, regere, and rescindere, to say, to rule, and to cut down. These are all boring, active infinitives. How would we make them passive? Well, we're going to go and knock off the ere, because these are third conjugation verbs, and you would add an I there. So now, diki means to be said, regi, to be ruled, and rescindi means to be cut down. Don't mix those up with the perfect tense of the verb, dixi, because those also end in an I, or rexi, or whatever the perfect of rescindo, rescindere, rescidi is. My bad, that verb is rescidi. R-E-S-C-I-D-I. So this means to be said, I said. To be ruled, I ruled. To be cut down, and I cut down. So all of these guys end in a long I. You have to pay attention to whether or not you have the present stem to show it's that passive infinitive versus the perfect stem plus a perfect ending.